Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Prasad Patil, founder of GoYana. Uh, Prasad is a graduate of Manipal Institute of Technology and has worked for companies such as GE Healthcare, Yahoo, and Fidelity Investments before starting his own venture in 2019. Hi Prasad, welcome to ELI. I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Sure. So, as you told me, you told about my background before I started this venture. So, having worked in companies like Yahoo and two others for over 16 years, uh, post that, and after that, we started this company. We are known by our brand name called Goyana. Uh, Registered entities called Western Tech Solutions Private Limited, known by the brand Goyana.
Okay.
We registered this company in January 2019. We are two founders, me and my co-founder Varun are partners in it. Basically, we are focused on enabling new way of doing things in travel and hospitality industry through smart technologies. That's what we are. We are a bootstrap company and operating out of Bangalore. That's a brief about our company. Uh,
Tell us more about Goyana. What kind of tools and technologies that you are providing to travel industry?
Sure. So, basically, every tool and all the tools and technologies that we build are around a traveler's need. Whether the persona is a guest at a hotel or he's a nomad himself, a solo traveler, whatever. Everything that we build is around a traveler's need to enrich his travel experience, right? So we have two business lines. One is where we call it a B2C, which is a goyana.com, and another one is we have a suite of products which we give it to hotels, which in turns is given in the hands of travelers. So these are two business lines that we have. Uh, the problem we're trying to address here is that if you look at travel has changed a lot, right? Even if you see like say leisure travel, right, how it used to be and what it is now. Today people don't want to just go there and do sightseeing and stay at the hotel and come back. It's not about ticking the box. uh, they want to actually experience the destination. They want to engage with the people, culture, food, etc. And and then every travel is so different, right? In every traveler's needs are so different. What you like and what I like are totally different, right? So if you in that context, if you see, one size fits all kind of a travel packages doesn't make sense anymore, right? But if you see in the industry, that's what you get. Whether it's a travel agent or even online travel agents, you get those fixed itineraries and packages, and then there's a back and forth to personalize it and things like that. So we wanted to address this gap, and even from the accommodation space, right? If you see, how Airbnb and how Airbnb's pitch, if you remember, they talked about uh, hotels leave you disconnected from the destination. That was their
Hmm.
slogan back in 2012, and nothing much has changed even now, right? So we want to bridge this gap, and we build the tools and technologies around this.
Okay. Uh, can you help us understand how does the underlying technology or the operations look like? What happens behind the scene with your platform?
See there again, from the B2C perspective, which is goyana.com. So we have a smart trip planner, which is designed to, the vision there is to go towards the concept of connected trips, where, you actually, let's say how your plan changes so dynamically. Let's say your flight is delayed by 4 hours, how your plan can auto adjust itself by keeping all the stakeholders, whether it is pushing your reservation or a check-in or something like that, all of that. That's where it is, the vision is. But at this point, it is a trip planner, which helps you plan the trip the way you want it. in very simple ways. It has a machine intelligence hand holding you. It has a very easy interface where it brings all the components of the plan in one place, and you can just drag and drop a choice of yours, and then a new plan is made with the help of machine intelligence. It considers a lot of data points, like what's the right time to go to a particular place, how much time should you spend in a place. So many data points goes into that algorithm, and it comes up with a plan. Post that, as I told you, it's a tool to help the travelers plan their travel experience. Right now, post that, if somebody needs help in getting it executed the way they want it, the way they planned it. We have partners who help that. Whether it is a either destination management companies, or whether it's the hotels. We have different partners, so we help travelers connect with them. That's the way it works, and we don't charge anything to the traveler. It's a free tool. We if we pass on the lead to our partners based on the interest of the travelers, and if the business gets through, then we get a commission from our partners. That's the model. And when it comes to our SaaS business, software as a service offering for the hotels, it's a software. So, we provide software products on subscription basis to the hotels.
Okay. From a cost standpoint, agencies offer standardized package to ensure that they achieve economies of scale. But when you start offering personalized travel experiences, the tendency of the cost is it goes up. Can you help us understand how does the cost get impacted when personalization comes in place?
So what happens, right? So there are, if you look at in the industry, right, you have different players. So if you see, travel agent is the person who's more like a salesperson who's interacting with you and things like that. But he would buy inventories, or he would buy the whole package from a wholesaler, or from a destination management company, or things like that. So there are a lot of hops in between, and so many hops that happens, right? And personalization of back and forth, and their time and all of that also contributes to cost. So here in our case, what happens is personalization happens instantly. You don't have to go through a back and forth. You just design what you want, instantly. So that's one aspect. And what we do is we try to go to the not the travel agents. We try to connect you to the wholesaler, or a destination management company, or directly to the hotel. So try and give cut down those hops in between to give you that cost advantage. So yeah, that's the way we operate.
Gotcha. Uh, have you achieved product market fit yet? If so, how?
Look, how things are in travel today, right? Especially post this pandemic, right? It has entire industry has come to a standstill, and it's almost like a restart for every travel company. Whether you are a startup, whether you are a established business, whether you are individual travel agent, or whatever, you have to restart. That's where it is. So from the B2C perspective, that's where we are. So we cannot say yes, we did see good traction. We launched this product in 2019 November or December, late November, I guess. We launched it in NASCOM product conclave. So after that, we got some good traction initially, and then February, until February, things were good, and then you see, March 2020, everything comes to a standstill, right, with the lockdown and stuff like that. Having said that, from our post the pandemic, we focused a lot on our SaaS business for the hotels, and that has progressed really well. And you could say that we are getting early traction. It's being piloted with 5 leading brands in India, hotel brands in India, and we are getting some really good feedback from some of the hospitality leaders whom we meet. So I think from that standpoint, it's going great, but I would say still some journey there to even say that whether we have really hit that sweet spot of product market.
Gotcha. Um, can you tell us, did you what kind of pivots have you done for your company during your journey?
It's you have to constantly evaluate what you're doing, whether it's working, not working, and make tweaks along the way. It need not be a huge pivot or something like that. It can be some small changes in the business model or operating model or things like that. So from that aspect, if you see, for example, from our Goyana perspective, B2C, initially, we would uh, execute the trip ourselves. You plan the whole trip and you say book, bang, the APIs, book the tickets and everything, all the magic happens in one button and things like that. But then there is a lot that goes behind the scenes to make that into reality, which is a lot of operations and stuff like that. And we realized early on, and thanks to some of our mentors who really guided us in that phase. And we realized that we didn't want to be a travel company, get into this whole operations and stuff like that. The technology is our strength, and we wanted to be a technology company. And that is a first pivot or first change in our model, you could say. So now, I talked about how we connect to the wholesalers or destination management companies, and we just pass the leads, and we remain a tool or a platform, right? Yeah, that's a pivot, you could say. um, uh, Apart from that, I don't think, of course we have two business lines. That was not a pivot. The second business line was not a pivot. It was always in the plan. We always wanted to have provide tools and technology to hotel or accommodation players or hospitality players. We always had that in plan, but we just expedited that because of the pandemic. That we focused on that more, especially after the pandemic. So yeah, that's about it.
Uh, what is the North Star metric that you follow in your company?
I mean, it's too early, to have any metrics. I mean, we look at feedback. That's more important to us. The feedbacks is something that that's something is more than anything that gives you a sense of whether you're in the right direction or not. You have your analytics and what have you. There are so many aspects that you can track, but what comes out of customers' mouth, or what they say, is the ultimate thing. So we give a lot of importance to the feedback that we receive from customers.
Okay. Any sort of growth hacks that you are trying now to grow?
I mean, there are different things that we do. Let's say, for example, from product development perspective, right? We have a lot of interns from some of the premium institutes, premier institutes, like, let's say, Manipal Institute of Technology or a Vellore Institute of Technology. We give them challenges. They come and contribute in a big way. It's not like how big corporates do this internship programs, like you just give them some tasks, they come at 9 and go at 5 and things like that. But here we try to kind of give them a purpose, give them a vision, and then allow them to express themselves, so they kind of enjoy that. And a lot of magic has happened in that space. We kind of we've got good tools or technologies developed through interns. This is one of the thing. From sales and marketing perspective, sales perspective, if I have to say, we do have few uh, a few people who connected with our vision, who are like we our team is structured very differently. We have a very floating team, and on demand we scale it and things like that. Even for that sake, for our sales as well, we didn't hire sales people per se, but we do have a few people who connect with our vision and want to contribute to it and be part of it. So and we kind of empower them and give them everything that they need to succeed in that space, and they in turn get us business. And these are some of the things that has worked with us, and continue to explore more and more of these things. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You constantly experiment these things, right?
Okay. So let us go back a little bit, and I'd like to understand a few things from the initial days of Goyana. To start with, tell us, how did you come up with the name Goyana? What is the meaning behind it?
Well, we had many names, to be honest, Priya. Initially it was called the Best Trip, and then there were many other names as well. But what we did is, we actually did a survey. We asked a lot of our friends and asked them to suggest three names. And we went through that iteration. We said, we selected few, and again when we looked at, we also had to look at whether that particular domain is available or not, and things like that. So we were doing this exercise of asking people to give us some names, then circulate all the names together, and then again ask them to select top three in that, and things like that. We filtered out. And actually one of my colleague and a friend from Yahoo, he was the one who came up with this name actually. uh, Go Yana, Yana means journey in Kannada and Sanskrit, go on a journey. So that's how Go Yana was formed. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it was given by a friend of mine, and that got everybody kind of connected and liked it, and that became our brand. Yeah.
Okay. Then another question around that. Why did you choose to become a travel entrepreneur? Why travel was so dear to you?
Look, we in my journey, I have this whole idea library. I have a lot of ideas on different industries or different problems, and things like that. And I was constantly pitching different ideas to different people, in my friend circle, colleagues, and stuff like that. So when you're looking for a co-founder, you really need both the people to be on same page and connect to that vision, really strongly, right? So whether it is in retail or e-commerce or so many other areas, that I had few ideas that I had jotted down and wanted to work on that and stuff like that. But in the end, it has to connect with your partner. That's where when I was pitching to Varun, my co-founder, right? When we talked about a lot of ideas, one of the things that connected was this space, which was travel space, and he also instantly connected to it. And we spoke a lot about the gaps in this industry, and we knew there is so much potential, to contribute, in the technology world. So that's how it happened. Both of us connected. Now since then, we have been studying travel and hospitality for last 3-4 years. We've been studying so much and doing so much research, meeting so many people. We have met a lot of hospitality industry leaders, like CEOs of big brands and presidents, and things like that. We have learned so much from them, that now we are like, we are part of that, that community. We feel, be part of that fraternity. So yeah, that's why it is more closer to uh, us now than it was when we started.
Okay. So tell us, when did you think of becoming an entrepreneur, and why? Why entrepreneurship?
See, it has always been there. I think, I come from a business family. A lot of people in my family are into different businesses. They're running successful businesses now. So I think somewhere inside it was always there. And once I started working, I started working in 2005. I took my job very seriously. I wanted to learn a lot, wanted to, you know, work really hard, learn every little thing that I wanted to. I mean, that I was very curious, that made me question a lot of things. When you're curious, why this works this way, why can't it work that way, and things like that. So that was happening, and then every now and then an idea would pop up for everything that you see around, whether it is in your office or a job, or it can be outside, right? So around, I would say 2 years into my job, 2007 or so, that is when I said, want to do something, really have a lot of ideas, want to do something. So I made, my first business plan or a pitch to two of my best friends. I thought that was the way to go. So I made a presentation and, took them to a room with all seriousness, did all the, kind of try to sell that dream. But that is when it struck me. And then I think, we were probably not so prepared at that point of time. We wanted to do something, but, we, there is always, you're getting a very good pay, you are in a corporate job, there is a certain comfort and a lifestyle. Do you want to do it part-time, full-time? There's so many things that are going on in your head. And so couldn't make up my mind at that point of time. But I could say, I was playing this whole like a part-time entrepreneur, you can say, where, I was trying to help my cousins in their business, for example, or trying to give solution to, friends in their businesses, or their some in their work as well, or job, and things like that. So constantly you're playing with a lot of these ideas, trying to find solutions and things like that. But 2012 I started a company, which was in e-commerce space at that point of time. So that is when, you can say, I really started something. 2012 we registered a company, and we had great ideas, and we formed the company. And but that didn't kick off the way it, I would have liked. It didn't go that route, and we had to shut down that company. And that was again that I was not full time into it. I was working at Yahoo at that point of time. I was doing this part time, and so it didn't work out. And along the way, again, continued pitching to various different people. And then 2018 or so, we said we have to do it full time. And my partner was up for it as well. And then we started planning how do we go about it, and then eventually registered the company in 2019.
What is the meaning of entrepreneurship to you? How would you define entrepreneurship?
Look, I mean, one word that comes to my mind when you say entrepreneurship is the word passion. It starts with passion, and it goes with passion all the way. You have to have that passion to hang in there and be there. So it's not just about the passion that to start, and it has to be there every single day, because every single day you have so many challenges, so many things that pull you down, or there's so many ups and downs. It's that passion that keeps you there all the time, and you want to do it. You want to continue doing it. You want to try one more time, and things like that. Second thing for me is the growth. The growth you get. When I say growth, it's not necessarily just the monetary growth aspect. It's not just the revenue, or it's not just how much money you make, but there's so much growth that from the knowledge standpoint, or from different aspects. You see world very differently from how you see when you are in a corporate job, for example. It's a totally different world out there. There's so much you learn and grow. So growth is one important aspect, and that helps you in various other aspects. For example, if I, for example, in decision making, for example, right? Any decision making for that matter, whether it is in personal life, or somebody else is struggling to make a decision in his business or in his personal life, you have this, you kind of have a way to weigh different options and come up with a good decision and things like that. Now, this is a strength. This is the growth that happens because you are every day you are weighing a lot of options and taking decisions. One example of it, one example of growth I'm talking about. And then, in terms of learning and everything, there's so much growth. You meet people, you learn from people, you know, books, whatever you read, study. So there's a lot of growth.
Speaking of corporate job, you have done a corporate job for a good amount of your career, and since last 3 years you have been entrepreneur. Can you help us compare both these lifestyles? How do you compare between a 9 to 5 job and entrepreneurship?
I can't compare because it's two different worlds. To be honest, it's totally different. I mean, I remember this, conversation that used to happen very frequently when we were in office. When I was working in a corporate, all of my colleagues and friends, we always talk about how it is in a government company, government employee, how it is to be a government employee. And we used to talk about, hey, they come at so and so time, they have tea and they take this break, that break, lunch break, and chit chat and then go back, and it's a great life and stuff like that. Because in a corporate world, we were thinking that we work so hard, there's so much pressure on you and things like that. That was then, but when I see in my current journey, when I see look back of a corporate job versus being an entrepreneur, it's way different. It's so dynamic, so many challenges every minute or every hour, and I mean, two different worlds. Uh, can't compare, but both has its own pros and cons. Its own challenges. So yeah.
I have many other questions, but due to time constraint, I'll just limit it to one. Final question: what are the learnings that you can share with us, so that we don't go through the same learning process again that you have gone through?
Sure. One thing is, for any entrepreneur or vulnerable entrepreneur, I would say that one thing is, find a mentor, find a good mentor. It's very very important, and that helps you a great deal. You have to find the right one, find a good one, genuine one. It's not just for the sake of having a mentor. You have one. So that is really key, and that is one aspect. Second, you believe in yourself. Hang in there, as in, you say, look, we are a travel startup, right? We were just about to get some good traction and this and that, and we were doing well, and then this pandemic hits the entire industries. But there will be self doubts, there will be challenges, there will be disruptions, interruptions, but you hang in there. If you believe in yourself, you'll hang in there a little while, little longer. The failure happens when you give up. There is no other failure that happens before that, right? So don't give up, hang in there, believe in yourself. Things will be fine. Eventually it will be fine. You'll find your way. uh, these are a couple of things, I wanted to share, in terms of mentoring and believing yourself and hanging in there. Third thing important is never stop learning. Constantly keep learning. There's so much out there you can learn from. Whether it is different entrepreneurs, you have so many videos of their interviews, or you even have Harvard material or a Stanford material out there on YouTube. You can study that. You can read books. Podcasts like yours. Look at businesses. Successful businesses. Look at what's happening in your industry, adjacent industry. So many things to learn. So never stop learning. Constantly learn. These are three key things that I would say.
Well, I must say it was a great pleasure to host you here at ELI. Thanks for your time, Prasad, and our best wishes for Goyana.
Thank you so much, you and your team at ELI, and pleasure. It's really a pleasure.